Hey guys! So today I wanted to tell you a little bit about foxglove and how it contains a highly deadly but highly beneficial toxicant. So let me take off all these stickers. This is Digitalis purpurea. It is purple foxglove. It is one of the most common types of foxglove. It can grow up to 4 or 5 feet tall, and right now it is roughly about a foot tall, as you can see. I'd like to show you some of his little care card. That's what he'll eventually look like. Purple, tall, and has lots of bells coming out of him. His name is Frank. So what foxglove has inside of it is a chemical called digoxin and digitoxin. Both of them are cardiac glycosides. They do roughly the same thing. However, digitoxin goes into the body at a lot slower rate than digoxin does. Digoxin infiltrates the body and disperses a lot faster, roughly by 20 to 25 minutes inside of the body. I'm going to show you another foxglove. This is Digitalis hybrida Arctic fox. As you can see, he is a lot larger than the Digitalis purpurea. This is solely because of growth rate when they were planted, etc., etc. Their leaves are very poisonous. So like if you were to touch the leaves and then like put them in your mouth, you would have a lot of side effects. Now, because it is a live plant and it's not dried out, hasn't been percolated yet or anything like that, the toxins aren't going to quite kill you. However, if you just sit and munch on these leaves, you're going to die. Another version of this plant that I have are seeds. They look slightly like this. This is Digitalis lanata, woolly foxglove. I have yet to plant them, but they will be very cool once planted. So Digitalis, any of the species in Digitalis create digoxin and digitoxin. The seeds actually here were a lot harder to get a hold of because Digitalis lanata is one of the higher concentrations of digoxin that you can find in the plant. Digoxin is a cardiac glycoside, and what also known as digitalis glycosides. What cardiac glycosides do is they help to slow the heart. So if you have arrhythmias, heart failure, things like that, it helps to slow your heart rate down. This can be deadly if you obviously take too much. You can just slow your heart rate to a stop. But it works by activating your NAK pumps, so your sodium-potassium pumps, which then activates your calcium pumps, which then decreases the stimulus needed for contractility inside of your heart. So you can see the bulbs on these plants. They're starting to grow. They're going to have flowers. Like I said before, touching the plant, I wouldn't like stick my fingers in my mouth. I would obviously wash my hands. The most concentrated areas of these plants that holds digoxin is the leaves and the seeds. So obviously higher concentrations in the leaves. However, they do have to be refined. You have to soak. First you have to dry out the leaves, then you have to soak them, then you have to distill them, then you have to percolate them, and then you have to extract via normally ethanol solutions for the digoxin. So digoxin is used in a hospital setting or long-term care settings. You can have digoxin prescribed to you by the doctor. You can take it via intravenous, so through an IV. You can take it via a pill, and you can also take it via a watered-down solution, like a liquid kind of cough syrup type medicine. Digoxin is not used in emergency settings. Normally you'd use atazine and atazine, there you go. Because a lot of people in emergency situations, they don't know the medications that their patients are already on. They don't know their lab results, so they don't know how their body's doing at that moment. They need something quick, fast reacting, so they'll use cortisol as well for things like that. But doctors will prescribe for people with like heart arrhythmias and things like that. They'll prescribe digoxin to help slow the heart rate. If you take too much, digoxin can cause vomiting, diarrhea, high blood pressure, and eventually death, depending on how much you take. So it's a really cool plant. It comes from foxglove. Digitalis is the physical name, but it's actually just foxglove. These plants are really beautiful once they grow. It is, however, illegal to grow these types of plants and harvest digoxin and digitoxin for your at-home use because of the high risk and the high factors that it has due to it being so likely to kill you. I find the plants fascinating, and I really enjoyed learning about them, and I really enjoyed growing them. Might do a little bit more. According to the FDA, it is illegal to grow your own medications like this. They are rated at high risk concentrations. To percolate and pull out the digoxin from these plants, you need a lot of lab equipment and a lot of time. They have to be kept at a certain degrees. I believe it's 37 degrees Celsius. For a certain amount of time. You have to have exactly the right measurements. You have to have a way of testing how much pure digoxin you have. Normally, Digitalis purpurea will give you about a 67% yield. Digitalis hybrida is going to give you a little less, probably around 52 to 58. And Digitalis lanata is going to give you closer to 97 to 98% digoxin. So if you ever experiment with this, which again is illegal, but if you do, I would use Digitalis lanata if you wanted a higher percent yield of pure digoxin. So Digitoxin also comes out of these plants as well, but again, it is a slower yield to the body. It is slower to process, so your best luck is to pull out the digoxin from it. Another thing that makes these plants so special is that they built this up as a natural way to yield off predators. The animals will eat them, feel sick, and then eventually realize, hey, let's not eat that plant, So digoxin and digitoxin is, I don't want to say becoming less important, but there are better medications coming into play for these. It's not as often that you're going to find these used. However, they still are common in smaller town hospitals like Bartlesville, Oklahoma. They still are used. They've actually been used for centuries. They used to be used for the dropsies, which is basically just people who had heart arrhythmias would cause them to faint, pass out, things like that. They would use this. They would chew on the leaves, and then later on, as people and medicine progressed, they did better things like drying them out and making teas, and obviously that gives a greater yield of pure digoxin, allowing for it to be better effective. So yeah, they're really cool plants, and they're really fun to watch grow because they grow rather quickly. When I got the Digitalis purpurea Franck, he was probably about 4 inches tall. He was just a little sprout, but now he has a singular bud here. I don't see any other buds growing. It looks like he's just a singular plant piece. He might have more later, which I'd love to make a second video and show you all later how he grows. Frank over here, my Digitalis hybrida, which is the Arctic fox. Hybrida is just, he's a hybrid plant, and so he's the Arctic fox variety. He's going to turn out white with speckles on the inside. He has multiple starting points of buds. He's got a shoot here. Oh, I about dropped it. He's got a shoot here in this little area, and then he's got his main shoot up top, which you can see starting to bud. So he's got a couple good sprouts going on. Might have a third one growing over here on this side. Interesting. The Digitalis lanata is also known as woolly foxglove. There's actually a little image on here. He kind of ugly. He's the ugliest one of them all. He has brown bells with whites on the inside, but he has fuzzy, why he gets his name woolly foxglove. He has fuzzy pieces all up and down his stems. So very unique plants, very interesting plants, and a very interesting chemical. It obviously is useful in hospital settings, but deadly just if you don't know what you're doing with it. Slight irritants can happen if I were to like touch the leaves, lick it. I could just get like some light nausea, some headaches, things like that. It's not gonna kill me. If I did want to commit suicide, I would just start munching on him though, but I'm not gonna do that. Yet. No, I'm not gonna do that. Got too much to learn to do that, but I know this video is short. I spent a lot of time researching this, and I tried to give it in the most layman terms possible. Hope that you guys learned something. I know that I did throughout this whole time. I've been awake for 48 hours doing all this stuff for the hospital, which is partially how I learned some of this stuff. I got to talk to a lot of nurses and doctors, actually, a few paramedics, and even a flight medic for helicopters. So evac medic is what they're called. I learned a lot, and I hope you guys learned a little bit about the benefits of cardiac glycosides and how digoxin and digitoxin are beneficial yet toxic to the human body. Thanks.